Good morning, everybody. Oh, I'm doing well. That was a sweet little text. And thanks. How's everybody doing? This has been really crazy for me as I've been thinking about how, look at our books. We have, after today, we have one page left on page 57, and then we go into this conclusion. That's it. This means that you have improved yourself all that you need to. There's no other improvement that you'll ever have to do in your life, right? Just kidding. Okay, so all right, let's have, you know what I didn't do? Usually I'm more prepared, but we had scripture reading that went really late and I just got on. Let me get onto everybody get onto the class notes. Did I prepare for today yet? I don't think I did. Like put the prayer down. Sometimes I'm really prepared, sometimes I'm really not. Today is my daughter Erica's birthday. I just am realizing that as I'm putting down March 30th. Yay. 26 years ago, she was born. Do you guys realize how important you are that you came to Earth, and that you're here, and that you're part of your families, and that you bless their lives, and that they bless your lives? Does anybody realize how amazing that is? So there's my phone. My trusty little phone that tells me who says the prayer next. Okay, I'm almost there. Ella, did you say it last time? You did. So Braxton, will you say the prayer for us this time?
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for this day. Heavenly Father, at this time, we ask that we will learn something in class today, and that we will have a wonderful discussion. Heavenly Father, please ask that we will be safe, and that we can have a wonderful week. Please ask that we can feel the Spirit's promptings. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let me just do a quick text to see if the V-Hills are coming. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn the time over to Jolene, and she's going to do, we're going to talk about the live it.
Hi guys. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the right page. So our live it last week was to consider what we've learned about our emotional strengths and one principle that you wanted to work on. So would anybody like to share what it was that they worked on this last week? I'll tell you guys what I worked on. And it's kind of what we've been talking about for the last few weeks, but I feel like for me, it has been something that I needed a little extra time on. And that was to focus on what was essential. So every day I was thinking, okay, what's important for today? and then not worry about all the other things that might not be as important. And so I just kept thinking that every day, what's essential just for today? So I made sure that I wrote down my gratitudes. I made sure that I read my scriptures and said my prayers, and that I did my best at having devotional with my kids so that we were having family scripture time. And then everything else, I kind of just made sure that I was taking time, but not worrying or stressing if it didn't get done, because I seem to do that a lot and feel like I should stay up all hours of the night and get up all hours of the morning to get stuff done, when really sleep is important too. So that's what I did this week, was focus on the essential things. So what is something that you guys worked on to help with your emotional strength? Go ahead, Ella.
So mine this week was, I was just wanted to read the scriptures every day this week, and I was able to do that. Sometimes it was like a chapter, and sometimes there's a few verses depending on the day, but I was able to read some part of the scriptures every night of the week. So
That's awesome, Ella. And how good it makes us feel when we do even just one verse, huh? That's really great. Braxton.
Mine was like choosing to be happy, because I feel like whenever we're happy, it's kind of like a domino effect, and it makes all the people around us happy, and they can be there.
That's true. Our attitude's everything, isn't it? Go ahead, Jacoby.
Sorry, I'm reading and I didn't think anyone wanted to see me eat. So something that like I've noticed I worked on, I didn't write it down. I wrote down a principle I worked on, I wanted to work on, but I didn't really focus on it. But something I've done this week is trying to prioritize my time and like get some of my work stuff done and get some of my schoolwork done, but like prioritizing it, and so that I can take breaks from each, and then it makes me feel more productive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyone else? Go ahead, Bryn.
Well, so for what I tried to do this week was just to keep to a schedule, kind of. And I've been kind of trying to do that, but this week I tried extra hard just to like, stay on task and just like work an hour on this and actually feel accomplished. So yeah.
That's really great. Good job. Anyone else?
I'd like to share too. So do you remember a few weeks ago when we were reading about essential and enough, and I had set a schedule of how I was going to manage my time? Well, this week, I just said my live it is going to be continue to live that schedule. And I discovered I had some extra time for myself. So I've been walking, and I spent some time with my mom last night, and I'm feeling like I've got some extra time, and it's just been so wonderful to just to continue to work on the things that make my life better. So
That's awesome. I think it's sometimes we don't realize when we organize our schedule how much free time there is in there. It's just that when we don't have it scheduled, we kind of tend to, I don't know, it seems to take longer. I don't know how to explain that, but once we set a schedule, we start to realize it didn't need to take as long as it did. And so then we have extra time for other areas, which is really awesome. Thanks, Julie. Would anyone else like to share?
Maybe
Okay.
explain to the V-Hills what we're doing, just in case they want to.
Oh, good idea. We are just discussing our last week's Live It and what we decided to work on, what principle we decided to work on to help with our emotional strength for this week. I think if nobody else feels comfortable with sharing, we'll go ahead and let Julie talk about our values for this week.
Okay, first of all, can I just show you what I discovered that I can do with Zoom? So I do pay for Zoom every year just because I'm a teacher and I need to have more abilities, but this showed up. Look at this. I can do this. Do you see how all your backgrounds are kind of going away? You can all be sitting down in a desk. Isn't that fun? And I don't know why Ella is showing your background still. That's kind of weird. And I can also move people. But it's like, I'm not, I can put myself up here too. But I just thought that would be fun. There's a few others that I could show you. This one I kind of like too. What do you think of that one? And we could put Bryn over here and Molly. You two are friends, right? Did you guys know each other before, right? Yeah. So cool, huh? Now, some of you have your background still, and I don't know why, and some of you don't. I don't know why it's that way. Maybe it's because it's an older Zoom program and you haven't updated. It doesn't matter, but anyway, we'll go back to the regular because I think we're not used to that yet, and it would be kind of distracting, but it was kind of fun. So I am just kind of thinking about it. Maybe for next year, who knows? Okay, what did you think about this? Well, let's go into the reading first. What did you think about, we missed the V-Hills. We had reading in The Powerful Engagement, Values and Virtues. Let's go to that one first. Open up your book, and we had just a few pages. So pretty much 1, 2, 3 pages pretty much. Can you look, which part did you underline? And and share with us what you underlined. Are you guys allowed to write in your books at your houses? Give me a thumbs up. Have I asked that before? I think I have. Okay. Bryn, are you allowed to write? Did I see your thumb go up or not? Okay, good. So good. What part, anybody, what part did you underline? Hey, welcome back, V-Hills. Jacoby went to go get her book, I imagine. When she sits on those chairs, it always feels like in my peripheral vision that she's holding up her hand and wants to share. Those chairs they just trick me out. Okay. Braxton, did you underline anything?
My mom actually has the book, and we were reading while we were on a drive, so I don't know.
Oh,
there were some parts that I liked in it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Jacoby, are you in the same boat as Braxton? Your mom has the book?
Yeah, for the Powerful Engagement.
Okay.
She just read it to us on our drive.
That's cool. Okay. Bryn has her hand up, or she did. And Molly's back with her book. Yay, page 140. 140. Do we all have the same magician? I think so. Go for it, Bryn. Isn't it hard when to show your books when you've got the blur in the background? It's kind of weird, huh? Okay. What do you have underlined?
Okay, it was not unmuting for some reason. Okay. Anyways, so can I share something on page 142?
Yes, please do.
So I just underlined that little like paragraph thing, and I liked when he said, like, for example, I demonstrate the value of generosity by investing energy in others without expectation that I will receive anything in return, and my willingness to put agendas of those I care ahead of my own, even if it means inconveniencing myself at times. And I think that, I mean, they're in the same paragraph, but I think that goes along with like the first sentence, where like he says, like, we may hold generosity as a value, but the virtue is behaving generously. And I thought that was interesting because he's saying it's not just like it's not just generosity, it's being being generous. So you have to do that. Like, if that makes sense, I don't know. I like that.
Yes. So you're talking about, we can say we're generous, but it's actually the acting on it. It's actually the doing it that really shows that we value it, right? Yes. I think that's so huge because sometimes we'll say, yeah, I like to be happy. But what if I just walk all around all day long like this? I must not value happiness or being happy if I do that, right? I actually, as a youth, I actually had a goal to put more of a smile on my face because my regular face, when I just rest and relax, always brings somebody always brings up, are you okay? And I think, yeah, I'm doing great. But my face doesn't show it. Sometimes it's like, if I'm watching somebody, I'll just be going like this. And people think I'm not. So I've tried as a youth I've tried to act on that happiness, right? It's hard. That's great, Bryn. Does anybody else have that part underlined that was interesting to them? Or what other parts do you have underlined? And Molly, I am so curious. There's like vapor coming out to the side of you. And I just keep wondering what it is. Is it
It's a diffuser.
Diffuser? Oh, I bet it smells so nice in your room. That's awesome. Okay. What else do you have underlined on between pages 1 and 143 in powerful engagement? Anybody else want to share? Jolene, you're going to have to share too, because you have the only book between the three of you Richmond people.
I was actually going to say, like, so it was kind of fun that those questions that it had you go through and think about, we did it in the car. And so each of us kind of took turns thinking about, jumping to the head of our life. What are the 3 most important lessons you learned?
By the way, and on page 141 in the middle here.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
And, so just like, who are you at your best? And even Trip, who's not in our class, wanted to make comments about, what do I do when I'm at my best, kind of thing. And so it was kind of cool to just have an open discussion and talk about and think about, really ponder what that means. But I don't know if my kids like this part, but I really liked the very last sentence of the section that we were supposed to read on 143. And it says, the real test is when virtuous behavior demands that we resist instant gratification and make sacrifices. It's in these situations that values serve us best, both as a source of energy and as a code of conduct.
Wow. The real test What does it
I found
mean?
it.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go. I found it really interesting as I was talking to my kids about what they had their highest values as. So, like yesterday, I was talking with Braxton, and in his top 10 is orderliness. And when we were going through all of them, I thought for sure orderliness would be one of his top 5 because he just likes things to be in a certain way. But then as he started discussing and deciding which ones were his top 5, orderliness wasn't one of them because things like faith and family and forgiving took over, and he was more willing to forgive people than he was to tell people that they have to stay orderly. And it was interesting how that last sentence, how we have that as a source of energy and it's a code of conduct, that we would rather be more forgiving than to make sure everybody has things in their place and keeps it orderly. So it's interesting how we view and separate it.
Wow. Do you have anything to add to what your mom said, Braxton? No. Okay. So what does that mean on that line that she had just read? What does it mean to resist instant gratification? Do you think? Anybody want to answer that? Jacoby.
To like it will take time to do things. Like sometimes you want instant gratification on like a project or something like that, but sometimes it just takes time to get things done, and it's better to have more time than to just rush through everything.
But what if you really need to get it done for a deadline? What is between now and getting it done? What's the most important? Is it getting it done, or is it what is in between? Jacoby.
I think like if you're talking about like a project, retaining the knowledge and making sure you know what you're going to present about or something. Because if you don't know what you're going to present about, then you're going to be nervous the whole time. You need to have the knowledge.
So between now and getting the project done, you're gaining knowledge, is what you're saying. That's awesome. Is there something else that somebody thinks of that is between the now and getting it done? What else is involved besides gaining knowledge? There's probably lots of things, but what comes to your mind? What if there are people around you that are bugging you and getting in the way of getting it done?
I think I'm frozen right now, but can we read the quote again?
Yes. So it's on page 143. It's the last sentence before walking the talk. Do you have the book with you? You are frozen, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you have the book with you?
No, I don't, but I tried to pull it up on the computer.
Oh, good. Okay. So this is the quote. It says, "The real test is when virtuous behavior demands that we resist instant gratification and make sacrifices. It is in these situations that values serve us best, both as a source of energy and as a code of conduct."
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are all of us frozen?
No, everyone, I can see everyone else moving. It's literally just me frozen.
That is interesting. Well, I hope you get unfrozen. We can sing a bunch of songs for you if anybody likes that movie. Okay, yeah, so this process of gaining knowledge, but there's also a process of people getting in the way. What are we going to do with people getting in the way of our project? What do you think? Do we just get rid of them? Braxton.
So I have a little brother, and I love him a lot, but he does get in the way sometimes or frustrate me sometimes. But it was when we were still living in Idaho, and I had a project in the shop and we were working on it. And he wanted to help me. We were using the wood burner and some other tools. And he's like, can I help? Like, can I be a part of this project? And like something just came over me. I was like, I need to let him do it. It was a project for someone else. I think it's for my grandpa. And I let him wood burn it and like everything. And I was like, man, it feels so much better to bring him in instead of push him out. So
Wow.
just to make people feel welcome is like really nice.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's a very goosebumpy story. Thank you. I don't know. Some of you probably don't get goosebumps when you hear things like that, but I do, because my top strength is empathy. So one of my top 5 is empathy. But wow. Yes. So there are going to be things that come between here and getting a project done, or here and getting something that you want. There's going to be people, there's going to be learning to do. There's just going to be this whole process. And what this is trying to help us figure out is what we value most. Do we value getting it done or getting what we want more than we value the people that are around us, more than we value God, more than we value having a good attitude? Wow. So this is a really good quote. And thank you, Braxton. Thanks, Jacoby. And thanks, Jolene, for sharing that part. And thank you, Trip, wherever you are. Trip is about what? 8 or 9? How old is he? He's 9. Okay, thank you. Growing up. I remember seeing Trip as a little tiny baby in the hospital when I went to visit Jolene. That was a long time ago. Okay, anybody else have something underlined that you want to share? Did anybody underline anything? So if you haven't underlined anything, you have a disease, and it's called, I'm too lazy to go get something to mark my book up with. So I'm inviting you to get rid of that disease by just like carrying a pen around. You know, you can even put it, well, if you wear glasses like me, it won't fit in your ear, but if you don't wear glasses, you can put it right there. All right, let's go into let's see, where's the book? Understanding and clarifying your values. What do you have underlined there? Is this the case where the Richmonds also, oh, you have your own book? Cool. Is it because there's a worksheet in there?
No, I actually just stole the book. No one else hasn't.
I love it. Stealing, that's one of my values. No. Okay. Anybody, what did you underline in this book? Or what notes did you put down? And nothing will be dumb. Jacoby, what did you underline? Tell us what page.
So it's on page 2. It's in the introduction. It's the quote by Viktor Frankl. It says, "Man, however, is able to live and even to die for the sake of his idols and values." So he's like basically saying that you live your values every single day till the day you die, and you do what's important to you till the day you die.
Yeah. So everybody listen. Do you are you when you're with somebody, do you notice that they do some things differently than you would have done? Does anybody? Yeah, there's a few nods. Yeah, so here's one example. When I'm driving my car and I'm going to park it in a parking lot, I like to park kind of far away from the store. And I like to go all the way through where a parking place is. I want to go all the way through to the next parking place in front so that my rear end is going to touch somebody else's car and my front end is ready to drive away when I'm getting in my car. My husband, on the other hand, likes to park close, and he likes to park so that the front end is in the middle of the two parking spaces. You know what I mean? So his front end's going to touch the car in front of him. And so that when he goes, he has to back out, and that's fine. But I forget. So when he's driving, I'll be in the passenger seat and I'll be looking at all these parking places that we're passing that we could just go all the way through. And he's driving around looking for another one closer. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, like, why didn't you do it my way? But I've gotten over that, and we have a great marriage, and it doesn't bother me much anymore, but it does make me realize, wow, I value something different than he does when it comes to parking. And I think, do you know what I think? I think our values, what we value most, probably causes more conflicts between people than anything else. Do you think that might be the case, Bryn?
Okay, sorry, it takes me seconds to do. Anyways, I think that is true because like if you don't have a passion for your values, then like, so how I'm trying to say this is like when you have a passion for your values, if somebody like hits your spark something or whatever, then you're gonna be like, wait, no, this is my value, I need to defend it, and I think that's just human nature. And so I know what you're saying. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So you know what it feels like. Yeah. Any other thoughts about that? Do you think that our values kind of cause most of the conflicts that we have in life? Or maybe I'm wrong. Jacoby, what are you thinking?
I think that what you said is like very true, because like everyone has different opinions and different ways they live. And so like if it's not your way, it's like frustrating to see how the other person does it. Like your example with parking and stuff. Like everyone just has a different way of living, and we just need to notice it.
Yeah, so knowing that, so who's understanding what Jacoby and I are talking about? Bryn understands. Jolene, Cambry, kind of. And Molly, so does it make sense, or would you rather explain a little bit differently just so you can understand it, see what I'm saying? Is everybody okay with that? Or because I'm willing to explain. Bryn, do you have your hand raised just to show us that or do you have something to say? Okay, she has something to say.
I just thought of something funny. It's like I guess I would visualize it as like your friend, you're having a hot dog or something, right? And then your friend puts honey on their hot dog and you're like, what? Why would you put honey on a hot dog? I have mustard. Like, I can't even imagine that. But then they're like, wait, no, I can't imagine you have mustard. They're passionate about their honey, and so it's their value.
Yeah. So it's a preference that they have. And sometimes preferences are based on values. And maybe that the value that that person has is liking to try new things, or like maybe they like to be different. Honey on a corn dog is so good. Oh, that's interesting. See, Jacoby, I've never tried that before. So yes. So why? Okay. I want you to think, and then we're going to pair up, and I want you to talk about this. This is a question. I'll probably put it on the, oh, I forgot to put Braxton gave us a prayer. Okay, so the question then I'm going to put on the class notes is, how does understanding your value, I'm going to say values, how does understanding your values help you understand that others have different? Is that how I want to say it? Different values. Let me just see that. Does that make sense, that question? How does understanding your values help you understand that others have different values? Is there something to, is that a good question, or do I need to rewrite it? Let's just try with it. So I want you to think about that really quickly. Think about it for maybe 2 minutes, and then we're going to pair off into pairs. Except for the vehicles are going to go with someone, not just themselves together.
It's actually just me today because Bubba left early a couple minutes ago to go to a dentist appointment.
Oh, poor guy. Actually, I like dentists. I just put it in the chat, but you might want to keep your camera off just in case, so that we can keep you here. It sounds like your internet's having a hard time today. Okay, think about that question. How does understanding your values help you understand others more, and that they might have different values? Okay, take about 1 minute to think about that. Okay, now I'm going to divide you up, and I've got, in room 1, I've got Bryn and Jacoby together. In room 2, I've got Cambry and Naomi together. This did it automatically, but it's kind of neat to put you guys together. So then in room 3, I've got Braxton and Ella. So if you'll go into those rooms and just discuss, probably only 2 or 3 minutes. I'll probably call you out at 2 minutes, and then you can come back and we're going to share what you learned. So let's see, it's 9:24 and a half, so about 9:25 and a half. And Jolene, you just naturally were put into another room, but you can just stay here. So 2 minutes goes by fast unless I really kind of messed up, but they're all going to be back in about 7 minutes, 7 seconds. It's going to close them all out. Okay, did I give you enough time? Not really. Dang, should I have given you more time? Well, why don't we just kind of share what you learned about how understanding your values has helped you understand that others might have different values. What did you come up with, Jacoby?
Something I really like thought and pondered about was that like God has made us all different. And so that means we think differently, we act differently. Some of us like me are can't remember. I just remember I'm an entertainer and I know Bryn's an entertainer. What is that? Intelligences or whatever. It's just like we're both the same, like we're both entertainers, but he made us so that we think differently and we have different values. And I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I love that you were both put together and you have the same intelligence, but you are still different. Okay, what else did you learn? Anything? Molly, Cambry, Ella, Braxton? Braxton.
So I thought it was like what stood out to me was like God made us all different, like kind of like what Kobe said, but like I was talking to my uncle and we were talking about how like God made somebody that works in the hospital, and he made a rancher and a farmer and all these different people to work together, like because there's always going to be the rancher that gets hurt or the farmer that gets hurt. But he made us to work together, and he wants us to be happy with each other and not like get mad. So I thought that like as long as we work on ourselves and we get along with others, then I think we're living a God-driven life, or like we believe in him.
Yeah. That's pretty profound. We could talk about that for quite a while. That's good. Bryn.
I just wanted to go along with what like Braxton said, because when he said that, I was just kind of like, that is true, because like I've wondered, I'd be like, I love like, fashion design, I love sewing and stuff, but then I'm like, but I also love being a nurse, or I want to be a nurse. And it's just kind of interesting when you think about that, because God made everybody have certain like intentions. Like if you compare me to and I know comparison's the death of joy, but like if you compare me to my cousin, she is not a type to like want to sew. She's not like that at all. And I think it's interesting because like I have some friends and I'm like, guys, do you want to sew? And they're like, not really. And so it's just interesting how different people have things that they're better at and they like at. And like, it's just cool how Heavenly Father made us all to have our own like things that we like to do, so we can make a better world, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hoping to hear from everybody. So everybody share. Who wants to share next? Cambry.
When I was thinking about this question, I kind of was thinking about what happens when you don't understand your values. So kind of like the outcomes. And I think about today in society, like for example, a lot of people have like gotten into divorces. And I think that's kind of an outcome of not understanding their values, because if you don't understand yours, you can't understand theirs. And so it's hard to figure things out. And so I thought that was really cool to be able to like, just by focusing on yourself, to trying to understand you're also better able to understand other people. So I thought that was interesting.
It's utterly interesting. That is interesting because right now you've got kind of a piece to the puzzle in your mind now of how to try to keep a marriage working, you know? And you're not married, but you will be someday, I think, I imagine. And so you've got that piece of the puzzle. I love that. Naomi.
So, like a couple months ago, I had a really good friend, and we went on a couple dates, and he wanted, to be more than friends and to be boyfriend and girlfriend, which I've already like established for myself personally that I'm not gonna have a boyfriend till 18 or after I go on my mission. And so, but even looking at like our values and stuff, I really could see how our values weren't lining up, and how I was like, well, this isn't the best decision for me at this time because of our values not lining up. As far as like God, family, and those things. And I think it's okay to assess where other people's values are, especially when you're going into a relationship. So the question says, why is it important to understand your values? I think especially when it comes to dating, it's really fun to or essential to look at other people's values and see how they line up with yours, and seeking to understand their values and where they come from is important.
And can I just, before you mute yourself, can I just ask, why exactly is it important to
Why is
understand
it important to understand other
your
people's
value?
values?
Yeah.
It's important to understand other people's values. I feel like you can see kind of like you take a step in their shoes a little bit. Like I was talking to my dad yesterday, and I was just really trying to understand the things that he valued, so I can see why he acts the way he does, or why he does certain things. Like my dad's a really hard worker, and I know that's because he values his family and he wants to provide for us. So then I feel like you can also appreciate people more when you understand that they're like their values, and you can give them the validation, or even understand their love language. You can give them validation in the way that they need.
I love that. That's really good. Yes. What else? Ella.
Just kind of what I was thinking is just that I know a lot of people who have like who are like really passionate about like something, or like have a big interest in like this one area. And I think it's like kind of interesting how they do, but I think that like understanding our values and how like important they are to us can kind of help us understand like why, or like how much they appreciate this one thing. Yeah, does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
just like comparing it to our like top values and what we value the most can help us understand how much they value something,
And
which can
so,
kind of help them like understand them better.
yeah. And so do you have more patience with them because you understand, well, they value that more than I value it, but I can understand them more, or meaning I can have patience with them.
I think so. It's easier to have patience with them when you like understand where they're coming from.
Yes. Wow, that's awesome. We've got Molly back. Molly, what did you learn in your little breakout session? She's struggling with her. Oh,
Okay.
she's changing her name. There you go.
Okay. So let me see. Okay. I think that if you understand your own values, and you know what your values are, then it's and you know people that understand their values too, then you can see how they might accept your values and you can accept theirs. And it's easier to sorry, this isn't working. It's like not muting for some. I doing
It is having a hard time. Sorry, Molly. But yes, I think you've said something really, really profound that and it's something we've been talking about. You do understand why people do what they do, and you have more patience. I love that. Bryn, did you have your hand up and then you took it down? Do you still want to say something? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like super confused with my buttons right now. Anyways, so I was just gonna say something, but then I forgot it. So yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. That happens. And believe me, it will just get worse from here on out as we get older.
Thanks for the comfort.
I'm just telling you the truth. Okay. So let's now go into, I'm going to ask you, and I want you to be honest. Was this easy, hard, or impossible to break down your values down to the top 10? Bryn.
Well, to be honest, it was actually really, really, really hard for me because like I kind of sometimes struggle with like these type of things because I don't really like, I like it, like I like learning it myself, but then at the same time, I'm like, I have a hard time deciphering like, is this what I want to be or is this actually me? If that makes sense, you know? So
Yeah.
whenever you do tests, you're like, oh, I wish I was more of that or I wish I was more of that. But yeah, that's the honest truth.
Thank you for being honest. I think Jacoby, you had your hand up too.
Yeah. So I took this last year. Well, I didn't take it. I just filled it out last year. And I made sure not to look at what I had put last year. And so it was really interesting how I changed like some of the values in my top 5 to what I am feeling I need now. And it honestly was way easy for me, but
That's
as
awesome.
it's easier for other people than.
Well, and you're older and you've had more experience and you've taken this class before. And yeah, wow, that's awesome. Okay, what about the rest of you? Easy, hard, or impossible? What do you think, Ella? What was it for you?
I think it was kind of hard for me just to, I guess, know what I care about, like one more than the other and what I value above something else. I think it was hard to like take it down from like top 20 to top 10 and stuff. That was a struggle for me.
And have you taken it down to the top 5 yet?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Okay, Cambry, for you, how was it?
Really difficult. I'm still trying to decide for one, so
Where are you down to the top 20 yet?
I'm at 5.
You're on 5. That's awesome. But you're still trying to figure it out, right? Yeah, that's hard. What about you, Naomi?
I feel like it was relatively easy. It could have been harder, but I think it was just for me, it was kind of looking at experiences and like thinking through all those. So it was more of like mentally hard than it was to like come up with values because I could write words all day, you know, but then it was like attaching it to those experiences and seeing which ones really profoundly affect me the most or are most prominent in my life. So I think it was more of like thinking through all of those things rather than just thinking of like the values.
Wow, I love that process that you're going through to get that. Braxton, what about you?
It wasn't too hard. I mean, it was difficult for some of them, but I got through it. So.
You got through it. Did Tripp want to help you with that project? Isn't that interesting that the things that we have to do by ourselves, no one else wants to help us with? Molly, what about you? Was it easy, hard, or impossible?
I think it was pretty easy for me, just doing it.
Good.
Just knowing what they are, I think it was pretty easy for me.
That's awesome. Have I asked everybody? I think everybody has said something, right? So who still needs to whittle theirs down to 5 by raise of hands? Okay, no one. Okay, I would love to write. I'm going to do, everybody get on, make sure that you're on the class notes, and I'm going to put in, insert a table. And I'm going to do 5. How many students are there? There we go. So I'm going to put in, Bryn, I'm just going to put you in as in order that I see you. Jacoby is next. So actually, you know what I really want to do? Hold on. X. I want to start here because this is going to be name and this is going to be value. Value. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm going to copy those and I'm going to paste here. And value. Oops, not value. So all of these are just going to be the top part that kind of shows you what to do here. And we'll make them go in the middle. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Right there. So then we've got Ella next on my little thing. I've got Cambry next. Braxton. And then I've got, who else? I have Naomi. And then I've got Molly. Oops. Molly. Do I have everybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I do. So yeah, if you'll please start putting, Jacoby's already starting to do that. Put down your values and let's just see how we compare with each other. Okay. And this is not, we're not trying to be the death of joy for you. We're not comparing is the thief of joy. But, oh, we just lost somebody. Who did we lose? Bryn? I think we lost Bryn. Darn. This is interesting. This is really neat how this is working out. Oh, I love this. I need Molly around more. One of her values is optimism. I don't know if I have that, but I want to have it in my top 5 values. I like that. You know what? I should put mine in here too. And let me see. Jillian, do we want to do it? I should do it too. So let's see. That's interesting how a lot of us have that same first one. I think we're almost all done here. This is great. Oh, okay. What can everybody just kind of look over that a little bit? Do you know, should we make this bigger? There, that helps, huh? What do you all notice? What are some things that you notice about looking at all of ours all together?
We pretty much all have faith in family.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? What else do you notice? I see a few have friendship. There's a few that have wisdom. It's kind of neat, actually. I miss Bryn. I hope that she gets back on. Just kind of fun. Okay, so a lot of us pretty much get along really well because our first value is, if it's not faith and family, it's honesty. And if you look at the next value, all of us care for faith, right? Every single one of us. So it's pretty easy to talk to each other about God. But what if you go to another place where you are not surrounded by people who think like you do? You probably won't see. You'll probably have a harder time talking to people about your faith because maybe they believe differently. So it's interesting to notice that. So, all right, we're going to journal just for a little bit. There's not a place.
Naomi has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I was covering up everybody really because of the page. Sorry. Go ahead. Thanks so much, Jacoby. Naomi.
It's okay. I'll make it quick. I was thinking about it as the words you exactly said. I was like, how could I have forgotten about this? But I love talking to Shelly while we were on our road trip. We had a lot of really good discussions. And one of them we were talking about was exactly that, values and how they fit into the inner ring, which is an essay from C.S. Lewis. And we were kind of talking about how it's okay not to fit into an inner ring that does not share the same values that you do. And you don't have to conform or try to make an appearance or change your values to fit into this inner ring. But there's really just a group and a place for all of us that we can seek out and we can find it. And sometimes it's okay to that inner ring be your family union, or even just to be connected with God and to have him in your inner ring. So I was just thinking about that as we were talking about understanding other people's values and why it's okay to have different values and to set boundaries and to love those people the same amount, but accept that we don't have to be a part of that close inner circle with them if our values do not match.
Yes, I love that. That's awesome. It just allows us to let people be who they are, right? I love that. Okay, the live it, we're going to journal about this for a minute, and then we're going to get a sticky note. But could someone read the live it on the very bottom of 56 for us? Who could read us? Jacoby, not read us, but read this.
It says, pay attention to how your top values inspire or motivate you throughout the week.
Okay. So find a place, and I don't know, this live it's right here, and there's this blank spot here. If you want to write something here, great. If not, you can go to the journal pages in the back. But will you first write out the most important thing you learned today from our discussion about values? Okay, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. So go ahead and write that. What is the most important thing you learned today about values? So take 2 minutes. Bryn, sorry. I just noticed you're back. Were you here when I explained what we were writing? Okay. All right, everybody. Now, this Live It is just to help you notice the decisions you're making all throughout the week and tying it back to, and this is kind of what Naomi was saying, tying it back to, so the experiences you're having, those actions you're taking, you're tying it back to these values. So let's say I'm Molly and everything I do to this week is probably going to have something to do with faith, family, friendship, optimism, and truth. And just to start to make those synapses in the brain, to make those connections to see how your actions are being directed because of these values. If that makes sense. So like, let's say, okay, I'm Julie, and mine are faith, wisdom, empathy, fortitude, happiness. Okay. Let's say that I just found out that my sister-in-law is struggling with something, and I call her on the phone and I listen to her. And then I see this sticky note sometime later that day, and it says, and one of my values is empathy. I will realize, oh, no wonder I called Christina. She needed some help, and I was directed by my value to talk to her and start to make those connections. Do you see what I'm saying? So, okay, everybody run and get your sticky notes. Go get a sticky note. And what I want you to do is I want you to somehow, if you can decorate it or you can write it beautifully, whatever you want to do, or write it cool, whatever, just write all 5 of these top values. And then save a place to say, pay attention to how these inspire me. So I'm going to say that, pay attention to how these inspire me. That's really these values, right? So now take the time to write all 5 of those values down. Okay, is everybody doing it? So this is kind of how mine looks. Does anybody want to show us yours? You don't have to. Okay. Take it. When you're done, take it and go put it in the place that you will see it. So I will be right back. All right, does everybody, I know you might not be done, but just really quickly before we go. Next week, we get to have presentations. And they're not very long, but they're presentations on one of these two books. So really quickly, I was going to go back to that page and I just put it away. Duh. Why did I do that? Okay. What you're doing. Oh, maybe I better go to the assignment that I put down. Okay, presentations are next week, April 6th. By the way, what's special about April 6th? Does anybody know?
Isn't that like when general conference is?
It's always around, yeah, it's always around April 6th. Yes. Yeah, and there's something else that's special about April 6th. Bryn, do you know?
The restoration of the church?
Yeah, that happened on April 6th. Yes. What else? Jacoby.
The resurrection.
What?
Sorry, my AirPods died. The resurrection.
The resurrection? I think so. It did happen around this. Yeah. It's also it's somebody's birthday, a very important person's birthday.
Isn't it Jesus?
Joseph Smith?
Is it Joseph Smith?
No, Joseph Smith is December 23rd, close
Yes.
to Jacoby's birthday.
Jesus Christ was born on April 6th, wasn't he?
Yeah. Naomi and Molly were right. It's Christ's birthday. It's his birthday. So we get to have presentations about two people, two children of God, and how they lived the 7 laws of life mission. And let's see, the thing is, it says a 5-minute presentation, but it could be 3 to 5 using any method. So you can either use a PowerPoint or you can just present whatever, or you can create a video, whatever you would like to do. And here's what you get to do. What principle did they live? And if you look at this, there's principles in here. You can choose any principle that they lived and share one of the stories of how they lived that principle. Okay. And then tell us how you're a better person by learning that principle. So the instructions are right there in the class, in the Google Classroom. But we're not looking at the whole list of 7 laws that they lived, but we are looking at a principle they lived, one of those in the green boxes, and sharing a story of how they lived it and then why it's important to you, what you learned from it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. This is awesome. We went over just a little bit, but I'm excited to hear the presentations next week. We'll talk about the Live It, then we'll do presentations, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much, everybody. See you later.